Welcome back to Shocking Stories, where we uncover the most mind-bending true crime cases that will make you question the very nature of science, death, and the lengths some people will go to achieve immortality. I'm your host, and today we're heading to the desert landscapes of Nevada, where a series of mysterious deaths led investigators to discover a rogue scientist whose obsession with reversing aging had turned deadly, and whose victims defied every law of biology by appearing decades younger than their actual age at the time of death. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear involves a case that challenged everything medical examiners thought they knew about death, aging, and the human body's capacity for regeneration. This is the story of Dr. Elena Vazquez, a brilliant 52-year-old biochemist whose groundbreaking research into cellular regeneration crossed the line from scientific innovation to serial murder. But when her victims' bodies were discovered throughout Nevada's remote desert areas, each one appeared to have somehow reversed the aging process by exactly 20 years. A phenomenon that would lead investigators into the darkest corners of experimental medicine and human ambition. Picture this. It's 6:47 a.m. on March 12, 2024, and Nevada State Trooper Marcus Chen is responding to a report of human remains found by hikers near Valley of Fire State Park, about an hour northeast of Las Vegas. The desert had given up another of its secrets, as it often did when winter rains washed away the sand and exposed what people had tried to hide in the vast emptiness of the Mojave. But what Trooper Chen discovered that morning would haunt him for the rest of his career and launch one of the most bizarre homicide investigations in Nevada history. The body was that of a woman, perfectly preserved by the dry desert climate, wearing expensive clothing and jewelry that suggested she had not been a transient or someone society had forgotten. But it was the woman's appearance that made Trooper Chen immediately call for backup and request that the medical examiner respond personally to the scene. "I've seen a lot of bodies in 20 years of law enforcement," Trooper Chen later testified during the trial that would captivate the nation. But this was different. The woman looked like she was maybe in her early 30s, with smooth skin, thick hair, and the kind of muscle tone you see in people who work out regularly. But according to the identification we found with the body, she was 52 years old. The victim was identified as Margaret Torres, a real estate agent from Reno who had been reported missing 6 weeks earlier by her family. But when investigators showed her driver's license photo to the medical examiner, Dr. Patricia Moore, even the experienced forensic pathologist was baffled by what she was seeing. Margaret Torres looked exactly like someone in their 30s, Dr. Moore explained during her testimony. Her skin had the elasticity and collagen density of a much younger person. Her hair showed no signs of graying, her muscle mass was consistent with someone half her age, and even her internal organs appeared to have somehow reversed decades of normal aging. The initial assumption was that the identification was wrong, that somehow Margaret Torres's ID had been planted with a younger woman's body. But dental records, DNA analysis, and even a distinctive surgical scar from Margaret's childhood appendectomy confirmed that this was indeed the missing 52-year-old real estate agent. Margaret Torres had somehow died looking exactly as she had 20 years earlier. "We were dealing with something that was medically impossible," Dr. Moore continued. "Aging is a one-way biological process. Cells deteriorate over time, skin loses elasticity, organs accumulate damage, and the human body shows the inevitable effects of decades of wear. But Margaret Torres's body showed none of these normal aging markers. The mystery deepened when autopsy results revealed that Margaret had died from acute organ failure caused by an unknown toxin that had systematically shut down her liver, kidneys, and heart. But the toxin itself was unlike anything in the medical examiner's database, a complex chemical compound that appeared to have been specifically designed to target cellular regeneration processes. The toxin that killed Margaret was incredibly sophisticated," Dr. Moore observed. "It wasn't a natural poison or a common drug. Someone had engineered a chemical that could interfere with the most basic processes of cellular repair and regeneration. This suggested we were dealing with someone with extensive knowledge of biochemistry and molecular biology." Nevada Bureau of Investigation agent Jennifer Martinez was assigned to lead the investigation into what was initially treated as an isolated homicide with unusual circumstances. But Agent Martinez's background in investigating crimes involving medical professionals made her immediately suspicious that Margaret's apparent age reversal was connected to her death rather than being a coincidental anomaly. The moment I saw Margaret Torres's body, I knew we were dealing with either advanced medical fraud or something much more sinister, Agent Martinez explained. Someone had either succeeded in reversing the aging process, or they had tried to and the experiment had gone horribly wrong. The investigation took a dramatic turn just 3 days later when a second body was discovered in the desert outside of Pahrump, Nevada, about 60 miles west of Las Vegas. The victim was identified as Robert Kim, a 48-year-old insurance executive from Carson City who had been reported missing 2 months earlier. Like Margaret Torres, Robert Kim's body showed the same impossible characteristics. He appeared to be in his late 20s, with the physical condition, skin elasticity, and muscle tone of someone half his actual age. And like Margaret, Robert had died from acute organ failure caused by the same unknown toxin. 2 victims with identical causes of death and identical age reversal patterns meant we were looking at a serial killer, Agent Martinez revealed. But this wasn't just someone who was murdering people. This was someone who was conducting medical experiments on living human beings. The pattern continued over the following months as investigators discovered 5 more bodies scattered throughout Nevada's remote desert areas. Each victim had been reported missing from different parts of the state. Each appeared to be exactly 20 years younger than their actual age, and each had died from organ failure caused by the same mysterious toxin. The victims included David Walsh, a 45-year-old construction worker from Henderson, Sarah Chen, a 41-year-old teacher from Elko, Michael Torres, a 56-year-old rancher from Ely, Jennifer Kim, a 39-year-old nurse from Sparks, and Patricia Martinez, a 63-year-old retired librarian from Winnemucca. 7 victims, all from different parts of Nevada, all showing the same impossible age reversal, all killed by the same unknown toxin, Agent Martinez summarized. We were dealing with someone who was systematically abducting people and using them as test subjects in some kind of anti-aging experiment. But the breakthrough in the case came when investigators discovered that all 7 victims had one thing in common. They had all responded to an online advertisement for participants in a revolutionary anti-aging clinical trial that promised to turn back the clock on cellular deterioration. The advertisement, which had been placed on various social media platforms and medical research websites, claimed to be recruiting volunteers for a groundbreaking study conducted by the Nevada Institute for Regenerative Medicine. Participants were promised $10,000 for their involvement in a week-long treatment program that would be conducted at a private research facility in the Nevada desert. The advertisement was incredibly sophisticated and professionally written, Agent Martinez explained. It used legitimate scientific terminology, referenced real research into cellular regeneration, and appeared to be associated with a credible medical institution. For people who were concerned about aging and had the financial means to seek experimental treatments, it would have been very appealing. But when investigators tried to locate the Nevada Institute for Regenerative Medicine, they discovered that no such institution existed. The website associated with the advertisement was registered to a shell company, the address listed was a mail forwarding service, and the phone number connected to a voicemail system that was never answered. We were dealing with someone who had created an elaborate facade to lure victims to their death, Agent Martinez continued. But the level of medical knowledge required to create the age reversal effect we were seeing suggested we were looking for someone with advanced training in biochemistry, molecular biology, or regenerative medicine. The investigation into the Fake Research Institute led agents to examine recent advances in anti-aging research and identify scientists who had the knowledge and resources to conduct the kind of experiments that could produce the effects they were seeing in the victims. The breakthrough came when Dr. Lisa Chen, a researcher at the University of Nevada's medical school, recognized the specific cellular changes that were evident in the victims' bodies. The pattern of regeneration matched research that had been conducted by Dr. Elena Vazquez, a former colleague who had been dismissed from the university 3 years earlier for conducting unauthorized human experiments. Elena had been working on revolutionary treatments for cellular aging, Dr. Chen told investigators. Her research involved using synthetic compounds to reactivate dormant stem cells and reverse the molecular damage that accumulates as we age. But her methods were considered unethical and potentially dangerous, which is why the university terminated her position. Dr. Elena Vazquez had earned her PhD in biochemistry from Stanford University and had spent over 2 decades researching the molecular mechanisms of aging. Her work had been groundbreaking in identifying the specific cellular processes that control regeneration and in developing compounds that could potentially reverse age-related deterioration. But Dr. Vasquez's research had taken a dark turn when she became obsessed with achieving immediate and dramatic results rather than conducting the slow, methodical clinical trials required for legitimate medical research. Her dismissal from the university had been the result of her attempts to test experimental compounds on patients without proper consent or safety protocols. Elena had become convinced that traditional research methods were too slow and that she could achieve breakthrough results by taking risks that other scientists weren't willing to take, Dr. Chen explained. But those risks involved using human subjects as test animals, which crossed every ethical boundary in medical research. The search for Dr. Elena Vasquez led investigators to a remote compound in the Nevada desert, about 100 miles north of Las Vegas, where she had established a private laboratory using funding from unknown sources. The facility was disguised as a wellness retreat and spa, but satellite surveillance revealed extensive laboratory equipment and security measures that suggested something far more sinister was taking place. What do you think investigators discovered when they raided Dr. Vasquez's desert laboratory? Drop your theories in the comments below, because what they found would expose one of the most twisted scientific experiments in American history and reveal the true cost of humanity's quest for eternal youth. The compound contained evidence of at least a dozen more victims, detailed records of horrific medical experiments, and Dr. Vasquez herself, who had been conducting her final experiment on her own body with results that would haunt the investigators who found her. Like this video if you're as shocked by this impossible age reversal mystery as I am. And let me know in the comments what you think drives someone to use human beings as laboratory animals. Don't forget to subscribe because in part 2, we're going to reveal the full scope of Dr. Vasquez's experiments and discover how she managed to achieve what scientists thought was impossible, and why her breakthrough came at the ultimate price. Welcome back to Shocking Stories. When we left off, investigators had traced the reverse aging murders to Dr. Elena Vasquez, a disgraced biochemist who had been conducting illegal human experiments in a remote Nevada desert facility. What they discovered when they raided her compound would expose the darkest chapter in the history of anti-aging research and reveal how the pursuit of eternal youth had driven a brilliant scientist to become a serial killer. The raid on Dr. Elena Vasquez's compound took place at dawn on October 15, 2024, with a joint operation involving the Nevada Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and CDC hazmat specialists. The facility, disguised as the Desert Springs Wellness Retreat, was located on 500 acres of isolated desert land that Dr. Vasquez had purchased under multiple shell companies to avoid detection. From the outside, the facility looked like a luxury spa and retreat center, FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts explained to the federal task force assembled to investigate the case. But the moment our teams entered the building, it became clear that we were looking at one of the most sophisticated illegal research laboratories ever discovered in the United States. The main building contained state-of-the-art laboratory equipment worth millions of dollars, including advanced centrifuges, DNA sequencing machines, cell culture facilities, and chemical synthesis equipment that would have been the envy of major pharmaceutical companies. But it was the underground level of the facility that revealed the true horror of Dr. Vasquez's research program. The basement contained 12 individual medical suites, each equipped with hospital-grade monitoring equipment, IV systems, and restraint devices that made it clear the patients had not been willing participants in Dr. Vasquez's experiments. Medical records found in the facility documented the systematic torture and murder of at least 43 people over a 3-year period. What we found in that basement was essentially a medical torture chamber, Agent Roberts continued. Dr. Vasquez had been abducting people and using them as test subjects for increasingly extreme anti-aging experiments. The medical records showed that most subjects died within days of being brought to the facility. But perhaps the most disturbing discovery was Dr. Elena Vasquez herself, found in the facility's main laboratory in a condition that defied medical explanation. The 52-year-old scientist appeared to be in her early 20s, with the physical characteristics of someone who had somehow reversed 3 decades of aging. However, Dr. Vasquez was in a catatonic state, connected to multiple IV lines and monitoring equipment, with brain activity patterns that suggested she was experiencing continuous seizures. Medical examination would later reveal that she had subjected herself to the same experimental treatments that had killed her victims, with results that were both miraculous and terrifying. Dr. Vasquez had successfully reversed her own aging process, explained Dr. Patricia Moore, the medical examiner who conducted her evaluation. Her cellular structure, organ function, and physical appearance were consistent with someone in their early 20s. But the process had caused massive neurological damage that left her in a permanent vegetative state. The investigation into Dr. Vasquez's research methods revealed the scientific breakthrough that had made her age reversal experiments possible. She had developed a synthetic compound that could reactivate telomerase, the enzyme responsible for maintaining chromosome caps that prevent cellular aging, while simultaneously triggering the production of growth factors that could regenerate damaged tissue. Elena had essentially created a chemical fountain of youth, explained Dr. Jennifer Martinez, a female biochemist, dark hair, intelligent, serious expression, wearing a lab coat, who was brought in to analyze Dr. Vasquez's research. Her compound could reverse cellular aging by reactivating dormant stem cells, repairing DNA damage, and restoring the cellular energy systems that deteriorate with age. But Dr. Vasquez's breakthrough came with a deadly flaw. The compound was extremely toxic and required precise dosing and careful monitoring to prevent fatal organ failure. The process of cellular regeneration was so metabolically demanding that most subjects died from cardiac arrest or liver failure within 72 hours of treatment. Elena's research records showed that she had tested hundreds of different formulations and dosing protocols, Dr. Martinez continued. The 7 victims found in the desert were the ones who had survived long enough for the age reversal process to take effect before the toxicity killed them. The medical records recovered from the facility provided chilling insights into Dr. Vasquez's experimental methods and her complete disregard for human life. Her journal entries revealed a scientist who had become so obsessed with achieving results that she viewed her subjects as nothing more than laboratory animals. Subject 23 shows promising cellular regeneration after 48 hours of treatment. One typical entry read, "Skin elasticity has improved dramatically and muscle mass is increasing. However, liver enzymes are elevated and cardiac function is declining. Will increase supportive care measures and continued treatment protocol." Subject 23 expired at hour 67. The next entry continued. Cause of death appears to be acute liver failure. Physical examination shows successful age reversal of approximately 20 years. Will modify compound formulation for next trial. The entries revealed that Dr. Vasquez had been systematically refining her treatment protocol by experimenting on living human beings, making adjustments based on how each victim responded to the toxic compound. She had been using people as disposable test subjects in her quest to perfect the age reversal process. Elena's research showed a complete abandonment of medical ethics and human decency, FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts observed. She had convinced herself that the potential benefits of her research justified any amount of human suffering. She was conducting Nazi-level medical experiments on innocent people. The investigation also revealed how Dr. Vasquez had funded her illegal research operation. She had been targeting wealthy individuals who were desperate to reverse the aging process and were willing to pay enormous sums for experimental treatments that promised dramatic results. Bank records showed that Dr. Vasquez had collected over $2 million from clients who believed they were paying for cutting-edge anti-aging treatments at an exclusive private clinic. Many of these clients had become her victims when the treatments proved fatal, while others had never arrived at the facility and had their money stolen through elaborate fraud schemes. Elena was running a sophisticated scam targeting people's vanity and fear of aging, explained FBI financial crimes specialist Dr. Sarah Kim, a female Asian, neat dark hair, glasses, focused expression, wearing a professional suit. She would advertise revolutionary treatments, collect huge payments upfront, and then either murder the clients during the experiments or simply keep their money without providing any services. But Dr. Vasquez's research had also attracted the attention of legitimate scientists and pharmaceutical companies who were interested in her breakthrough discoveries. Encrypted communications found on her computer revealed that she had been in contact with several biotech companies and foreign governments that were interested in purchasing her age reversal technology. Elena was planning to sell her research to the highest bidder, FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts revealed. She had been negotiating with companies in China, Russia, and North Korea who were interested in developing military applications for age reversal technology. The potential weapons applications of her research were enormous. The discovery of Dr. Vasquez's international connections led to a broader investigation involving multiple federal agencies and international law enforcement organizations. The age reversal technology she had developed could potentially be used to create super soldiers, extend the lives of political leaders, or develop biological weapons that could target specific age groups. Elena's research represented a potential threat to global security, explained Dr. Michael Torres, a bioweapons expert with the Department of Defense, Hispanic male, short dark hair, intense gaze, wearing a dark professional suit. In the wrong hands, age reversal technology could be used to create military advantages or population control mechanisms that could destabilize entire regions. The scientific analysis of Dr. Vasquez's research also revealed the broader implications of her discoveries for legitimate medical research. While her methods were criminal and unethical, her underlying scientific findings represented genuine breakthroughs in understanding cellular aging and regeneration. Elena had made discoveries that could potentially revolutionize the treatment of age-related diseases and extend human lifespan. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, a female biochemist, dark hair, intelligent, serious expression, wearing a lab coat, observed. But her illegal and unethical methods had tainted the research and made it impossible to use her findings for legitimate medical purposes. The ethical questions raised by Dr. Vasquez's research sparked international debates about the regulation of anti-aging research and the potential dangers of unrestricted scientific experimentation. Her case became a cautionary tale about the need for strict oversight of research involving human subjects. The Elena Vasquez case showed us what can happen when brilliant scientists operate without ethical constraints, explained bioethicist Dr. Lisa Chen, a female Asian, kind but serious expression, professional attire. Her discoveries could have been achieved through legitimate research methods, but her impatience and arrogance led her to commit horrific crimes against innocent people. The investigation also revealed that Dr. Vasquez had been planning to expand her research program by establishing additional facilities in other remote locations. Evidence found in her laboratory indicated that she had been scouting sites in Mexico, Canada, and several countries in South America where she could continue her experiments with even less oversight. Elena was building an international network of illegal research facilities, FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts disclosed. She had the vision and the resources to create a global operation that could have endangered thousands of lives while advancing her research into age reversal technology. The medical evaluation of Dr. Vasquez's condition provided insights into the ultimate consequences of her experimental treatments. While she had successfully reversed her own aging process, the neurological damage had left her in a state that was arguably worse than death. Elena Vasquez achieved her goal of reversing aging, but at the cost of her cognitive function and conscious experience. Dr. Patricia Moore, an experienced female medical examiner, forensic pathologist, gray hair tied back, glasses, wearing professional medical attire, explained. She had the body of a 20-year-old but the brain activity of someone in an advanced vegetative state. She had traded her mind for her youth. The discovery of Dr. Vasquez's research also led to the identification of additional victims whose bodies had not yet been found. Her detailed records included information about subjects who had been disposed of in various locations throughout the Southwest, leading to recovery operations that would continue for months. Elena's records indicated that she had killed and disposed of at least 60 people over a 3-year period, FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts revealed. Many of the bodies were buried in remote desert locations that would take extensive search operations to locate and recover. As Part 2 of our investigation concludes, Dr. Elena Vasquez remains in a specialized medical facility, her body frozen at the apparent age of 20 but her mind lost forever to the consequences of her own experimental treatments. The age reversal technology she developed had been secured by federal authorities and classified as a potential bioweapon, while her victims' families continued to seek justice for the horrific crimes committed in the name of scientific progress. The case had exposed the darkest potential of anti-aging research and raised fundamental questions about the ethical boundaries of scientific experimentation. Dr. Vasquez had achieved what many considered impossible. She had reversed the aging process. But the cost had been the lives of dozens of innocent people and ultimately her own sanity. Don't miss Part 3, where we'll reveal the complex legal proceedings that followed Dr. Vasquez's capture, explore how her research influenced legitimate anti-aging studies, and examine the ongoing efforts to locate and identify her remaining victims. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because the conclusion of this story will show you how the pursuit of eternal youth became a pathway to eternal damnation. What do you think should happen to scientific research that achieves breakthrough results through criminal methods? Let me know in the comments whether Dr. Vasquez's discoveries should be used to help humanity despite the horrible way they were obtained. And share this video to help others understand the importance of ethical oversight in medical research. Welcome back to the shocking conclusion of our investigation into the reverse aging murders. When we left off, Dr. Elena Vasquez had been found in her desert laboratory in a vegetative state, having successfully reversed her own aging but destroyed her mind in the process. What happened next would test the limits of the legal system, challenge the scientific community's ethical foundations, and force society to confront the ultimate question: is any scientific breakthrough worth the cost of human lives? The legal case against Dr. Elena Vasquez presented unprecedented challenges for prosecutors and the justice system. How do you prosecute someone who is in a permanent vegetative state and unable to understand the charges against them or assist in their own defense? How do you seek justice for victims of experiments that achieved scientifically impossible results? Nevada District Attorney Patricia Wilson faced the complex task of building a case against a defendant who could not be tried under traditional legal procedures. While the evidence of Dr. Vasquez's crimes was overwhelming, her medical condition made it impossible to proceed with a normal criminal prosecution. Elena Vasquez had essentially become a victim of her own crimes, DA Wilson explained during a press conference that drew international media attention. While we had conclusive evidence that she had murdered dozens of people in horrific medical experiments, her current mental state made it impossible to determine whether she was competent to stand trial. The solution came through a legal precedent that allowed for the appointment of a guardian ad litem to represent Dr. Vasquez's interests while prosecutors pursued justice for her victims through civil proceedings and regulatory actions. The case would become a landmark in establishing how the justice system handles defendants who are incapacitated by their own criminal actions. We couldn't give Elena Vasquez a traditional trial, but we could ensure that her victims' families received answers, that her assets were used to compensate those she had harmed, and that her research was secured to prevent future tragedies, DA Wilson continued. The investigation into Dr. Vasquez's finances revealed that she had accumulated over $15 million through her illegal research operation, money that had been obtained by defrauding victims and their families. These assets were seized and placed in a victim compensation fund that would provide financial support for the families of her victims and fund ongoing search efforts to locate additional remains. The scientific community struggled with how to respond to Dr. Vasquez's research discoveries. While her methods were universally condemned as criminal and unethical, her underlying scientific findings represented genuine breakthroughs in understanding cellular aging and regeneration. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, the biochemist who had analyzed Dr. Vasquez's research, found herself at the center of an international debate about whether scientific knowledge obtained through criminal means could ever be used for legitimate purposes. Elena's research contained insights that could potentially help millions of people suffering from age-related diseases, Dr. Martinez explained during testimony before a congressional committee on bioethics. But using research obtained through murder and torture would violate every principle of medical ethics and set a dangerous precedent for future scientific misconduct. The decision was made to classify Dr. Vasquez's research as evidence in ongoing criminal proceedings, making it inaccessible to the scientific community while investigators continued to identify victims and locate additional crime scenes. The breakthrough discoveries that could have revolutionized medicine were locked away as proof of humanity's capacity for evil. We chose to sacrifice potential medical advances rather than profit from the murder of innocent people, explained Dr. Michael Torres, chair of the National Bioethics Commission. Some knowledge comes at too high a price, and Elena Vasquez's research crossed every moral boundary that guides legitimate scientific inquiry. But the case also sparked broader discussions about the regulation of anti-aging research and the need for enhanced oversight of scientists working in emerging fields with potential military or security applications. The Department of Defense launched a comprehensive review of research institutions and private laboratories to identify other scientists who might be conducting similar illegal experiments. The review revealed numerous cases of researchers operating outside ethical guidelines, though none approached the scale or horror of Dr. Vasquez's operation. The Vasquez case was a wake-up call for the entire scientific community, explained Dr. Sarah Kim, director of the National Institutes of Health's Research Integrity Office. We realized that our oversight systems were inadequate to prevent the kind of systematic abuse that Elena had been conducting for years. New regulations were implemented requiring enhanced background checks for researchers working with human subjects, mandatory reporting of unusual research funding sources, and regular inspections of private research facilities. The Vasquez protocols became the standard for identifying and preventing unethical human experimentation. The ongoing search for Dr. Vasquez's additional victims became one of the largest forensic recovery operations in U.S. history. Using her detailed records and advanced ground-penetrating radar technology, investigators located burial sites throughout Nevada, California, Arizona, and Utah. Over a 2-year period, the remains of 37 additional victims were recovered and identified. Each had been subjected to Dr. Vasquez's experimental treatments, and each showed the same impossible age reversal that had characterized the original 7 victims found in the Nevada desert. Finding and identifying Elena's victims became a mission of healing for their families, explained FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts, who led the recovery operations. These people had been treated as disposable test subjects, but we were determined to restore their dignity and give their families the closure they deserved. The victim identification process revealed the true scope of Dr. Vasquez's targeting methods. She had specifically selected people who were unlikely to be immediately missed, individuals who were estranged from their families, who lived alone, or who were traveling when they disappeared. Elena was a predator who understood how to identify vulnerable people, Agent Roberts continued. She targeted individuals whose disappearances wouldn't generate immediate attention, giving her time to complete her experiments and dispose of the bodies before anyone started looking for them. The psychological evaluation of Dr. Vasquez's condition provided insights into the mental state of someone who had achieved their ultimate goal at the cost of their humanity. Neurological testing revealed that while her brain tissue had been physically rejuvenated by her treatments, the process had caused irreversible damage to the neural networks responsible for consciousness and memory. Elena Vasquez had essentially erased herself, explained Dr. Patricia Moore, the neurologist who conducted her evaluation. She had achieved physical immortality but had lost the cognitive capacity to experience or appreciate her success. She had become a living contradiction, eternally young but essentially dead. The case also had profound implications for the families of Dr. Vasquez's victims, who struggled to understand how their loved ones had been transformed into impossible beings who challenged everything they thought they knew about life and death. "Seeing my sister's body was both a blessing and a curse," said Maria Torres, whose sister Margaret had been one of the first victims discovered. She looked exactly like she had 20 years ago, beautiful and young and perfect. But knowing what had been done to her, the suffering she had endured, made it impossible to find peace in her youthful appearance. Support groups were established for the families of Dr. Vasquez's victims, providing counseling and resources to help them process the unique trauma of losing loved ones to such incomprehensible crimes. The psychological impact of seeing family members who had been impossibly transformed by criminal experiments required specialized therapeutic approaches. The families were dealing with grief, anger, and confusion about what they had witnessed, explained Dr. Lisa Chen, a psychologist who worked with victim families. They had to confront the fact that their loved ones had achieved something that should have been wonderful, reversed aging, but had died in the process of being subjected to horrific experiments. The international implications of Dr. Vasquez's research led to diplomatic efforts to prevent other countries from attempting to replicate her work. Intelligence agencies identified several foreign research programs that were investigating similar age reversal technologies, leading to international agreements limiting such research. Elena's case demonstrated that age reversal technology could be developed by individual researchers with sufficient funding and knowledge, explained Dr. Michael Torres of the Department of Defense. "We had to work with allies around the world to prevent other scientists from following her path and creating additional humanitarian disasters." The ethical questions raised by the case continued to resonate throughout the scientific community. Medical schools began incorporating the Vasquez case into their ethics curricula, using her crimes as an example of how brilliant minds could be corrupted by ambition and the pursuit of revolutionary discoveries. Elena Vasquez represents the dark side of scientific ambition, reflected Dr. Jennifer Martinez during a keynote address at the International Conference on Research Ethics. She had the knowledge and resources to make breakthrough discoveries that could have helped humanity, but her impatience and arrogance led her to commit some of the worst crimes in the history of science. The facility where Dr. Vasquez had conducted her experiments was demolished and the land was converted into a memorial park honoring her victims. The Desert Memorial Gardens features individual monuments for each identified victim, along with a central memorial dedicated to all those who had lost their lives to unethical medical experimentation. We wanted to create a place where the victims could be remembered not as test subjects or scientific curiosities, but as human beings who deserved dignity and respect, explained Memorial Committee Chairwoman Jennifer Walsh. Elena Vasquez tried to reduce these people to data points in her research, but their memory serves as a reminder of the importance of ethical boundaries in science. The case also led to increased funding for legitimate anti-aging research conducted under strict ethical guidelines. The National Institutes of Health established the Vasquez Memorial Research Program, which provides funding for age-related disease research while maintaining the highest standards of human subject protection. We believe that Elena's victims would want their deaths to contribute to legitimate scientific progress that helps other people, explained Dr. Sarah Kim, director of the program. By supporting ethical research into aging and age-related diseases, we can honor their memory while working toward the medical breakthroughs that Elena sought through criminal means. As our investigation into the reverse aging murders concludes, Dr. Elena Vasquez remains in a specialized medical facility, her body perpetually young but her mind forever lost to the consequences of her obsession with defeating death. She had achieved what humans had dreamed of for millennia, the reversal of aging, but had paid the ultimate price in the process. The victims of her experiments are remembered not as scientific specimens, but as individuals whose lives were cut short by a brilliant mind that had lost its moral compass. Their impossibly youthful appearances serve as a haunting reminder that some scientific frontiers should not be crossed, and that the pursuit of knowledge must always be balanced by respect for human dignity. Elena Vasquez proved it was possible to reverse aging, but she also proved that achieving the impossible isn't worth destroying your humanity, reflected FBI Special Agent Michael Roberts during the final press conference on the case. She gained eternal youth but lost her eternal soul. The legacy of the reverse aging murders continues to influence scientific research, legal procedures, and ethical discussions about the boundaries of human experimentation. Dr. Vasquez's case serves as both a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked scientific ambition and a reminder that some discoveries come at too high a price to be worth pursuing. If this incredible story of scientific achievement and moral failure has moved you as much as it has moved us, please like this video and share it to help others understand the importance of ethical boundaries in scientific research. Subscribe to Shocking Stories for more investigations that explore the intersection of science and crime, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the ongoing struggle to balance scientific progress with human values and dignity. Dr. Elena Vasquez may have unlocked the secret of eternal youth, but her story reminds us that true immortality comes not from preserving our bodies, but from preserving our humanity and using our knowledge to heal rather than harm. The fountain of youth she created became a river of blood, proving that some prices are too high to pay, even for the promise of living forever.